From beautiful Grand Circus Park in the heart of Detroit, this is your Daily Detroit for Thursday, May 9th, 2019. Today we're going to have a special little conversation. We're going to talk about actually a place up in Ferndale, Como's. And joining me to talk about it is our often contributor, often behind the scenes, but he's also a lover of food and a connoisseur of all things, Randy Walker. Randy, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Glad to be back on the air.
So Como's is the talk of the town in a lot of ways. It is anchoring a very high-profile spot at the corner of Woodward and 9 Mile. The name, although to be clear, there's new ownership, the name has a kind of clouded history with restaurant goers, right?
Yeah, most recently, before they closed, they had a lot of health code violations, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, forced the closing.
Yeah, the Grego family had owned it for quite a while, but now it has new owners. It is a pizza joint with a top-flight chef in Zack Sklar. So I think a lot of people have been looking like, how can you do pizza as a high-end? Do chefs open pizza restaurants? Well, they've done it. They have. And so you actually went out. This is a first look. So to give people a little bit of context, it just opened earlier this week. Randy went out and got a first look. So everything we're talking about is a first look. Don't think of this as a full review. It's early days. But what were your first impressions, Randy?
Well, when you first walk into the place, it feels like your grandmother's dining room. There are plants hanging on the wall, and the overhead lights are yellow.
Ooh, that yellow kind of like, what do I think about when I think about yellow lights? I think about Bob Evans.
Yeah, that type of feel for sure.
But I saw some of the pictures. Doesn't it have more of kind of like a modern look? Kind of, it's been reimagined, right? Like a lot of the things have been turned over from the previous space.
Well, it's definitely renovated from the previous space, but I would not call this look modern. If anything, it would be a modern take on the 80s. Obviously,
it's hard to judge on an opening night, but how'd things flow?
Well, yeah, like you said, it was opening night. I had reservations for 6:30. I arrived about 6:25 and didn't get seated until about 6:45. There was no real place to stand. Everybody just kind of milled around at the takeout counter at the back of the restaurant. So you had to kind of fight through the crowded dining room to get back to the place where you would check in and stand. So if they could add some sort of host station at the front door, that would have been helpful for sure.
Do they have any kind of like those discs or like those light up vibrating discs or the like a text message system to get a hold of you?
They were using reservations through OpenTable, so I think I did get a notice, but I had already been seated by the time I got the notice, so it was just kind of messy. They were calling out names as tables opened up.
Well, again, early days, just opened, got to work bugs out. So let's talk about some of the most important things about any restaurant is the food. It's a chef doing pizza. I know they serve a bunch of other things. What was your experience like?
Well, even before the food, I was impressed by the drinks menu. They had actually a couple of different rum cocktails on the menu, and I'm quite the rum fan, so I was happy to see that. I had the Shipwrecked, which was a blend of a couple of different rums and fruit juices. And then they were actually already out of one of the dishes we tried to order. It was the broken corn cakes, so I didn't get to try that. Sounded interesting, but we did get to try the Como's guac, which was kind of like an Italian-style guacamole with sun-dried tomatoes, lemon juice, basil, Parmesan cheese. So that was interesting. We were hesitant to try it at first, but after the server recommended it, I was glad he did because it was phenomenal.
That's amazing. Now, did you get your hands on some of the pizza?
Absolutely. Now, the pizzas are a little bit controversial because the specialty pizzas have names like LGBT, medical weight loss, Jesse's Girl, the Millennial. So some of the names are fun, some of the names are maybe a little offensive. But I ordered the Roni, which was pepperoni, Calabrian chilies, and garlic and basil.
Do you think maybe they're just trying to be a little too cute with the naming?
Yeah, I think they could tone it down a little bit.
So let's talk about that pizza again, chef-inspired pizza. Let's talk about it. What did you like about it? What stood out?
The pizza had plenty of toppings. There was a lot of pepperoni on top, a lot of cheese on top. The chilies and the basil were great. The crust was thick but not dense. The cheese around the outside, the frico, was nice and crispy. The sauce was tangy but not overpowering. It was a great pizza.
So one of the things I noticed perusing the menu and looking at some of the coverage ahead of time is that the price point on this is a little bit on the higher end, but it really seems like that's all about the ingredients.
Yeah, for sure. These square pizzas start at $12 for a small, which is a 4-corner pizza. And then the large pizzas are basically just 2 of the small pizzas put together. So a large pizza gets you 8 corners. It's 2 small pizzas put together. So I think the prices are maybe a little high, but you definitely get your money's worth. The large Roni is $25, and I would gladly pay that again.
How many people do you think a large and a small serve here? Because I always have that question when I'm at a restaurant, right? Whether I'm going to Louis or Buddy's or any of these other spots, even if I'm getting something like a hot and ready, like I always trip myself up on like how much pizza per person. So you've got a small and a large. How many people does that serve, you think?
I would say plan on 2 slices per person. The friend I was with ate 2. I ate 1 because we also had 2 appetizers we split another one of their entrees that was not pizza. So we had plenty of pizza left over.
All right, let's get off of talking about pizza and talk about, you talked about other entrees. Why don't you bring that to the table for us?
The entree that caught my eye the most was the spaghetti squash lasagna.
Ooh, I love doing spaghetti squash as a replacement for noodles. That's really smart.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was a slice of spaghetti squash served in the shell, so they did warn you not to eat the shell. But it was topped with sausage, brick cheese, basil, their house marinara sauce, and Boursin cheese.
Ooh, that does sound really good.
And all the flavors were great. My only real criticism of this dish was there was not enough actual spaghetti squash. It just felt like a lot of toppings, and I wanted a little bit more of the spaghetti squash to come through.
Well, persnickety Randy strikes again, but that's why we love you and that's why you're on the show. Now, one of the things about this space, Randy, that I love, even when the food was terrible, was that patio. That patio was worth it as long as you drank something that was alcohol. It was worth it to go on, but now with what seems to be much better food, much better experience, this patio seems to be like this could be the hottest ticket in Ferndale. What's the deal with all of that?
Yeah, the patio is great. They actually opened the patio last summer, the patio only as a concept they called FOMOs. So I'm definitely excited for it to open for real. Get out there, enjoy some of those great rum drinks I was talking about. I think would definitely match the vibe, especially with the views of 9 Mile and Woodward readily visible from the patio.
Well, and you could go patio to patio, right? So you think about this. Isn't there like a little tiki-like back patio on the Oakland?
Yeah.
So you could do that. You could do the Oakland. You could do Como's. And then you could hit, one of the fun patios to hit is Port.
Yeah, there's Port. There is Honey Honey, the patio behind the Oakland. Soho has a patio. Yeah, plenty of patios in Ferndale. So you could definitely patio hop and spend an evening doing it. That would be a great evening.
Ferndale, Patio City. Now, the reimagined Como's didn't take the entire space. I know there's that bar area, and I believe that's going to be another establishment, right?
Yeah, so the bar at the north side of the building has actually been separated, and that will be the Traverse City Whiskey tasting room.
Well, I don't know much about Traverse City Whiskey. Do you know anything about Traverse City Whiskey?
I don't, but hey, it's a new bar in town that I'll be happy to try out.
So I think finally to wrap this all up, there was a lot of talk around what was going to go into that corner when Como's closed, what kind of business it would be. How does the new Como's kind of sit inside of Ferndale, which seems to be going through a lot of changes, but also working really hard to keep to its character?
It would be a shame to see anything but a fun place occupy that corner. I know rumors were CVS was looking to go in there. I don't know if that was a real possibility or if it was just a rumor, but something like that would totally destroy the character of downtown. So I'm glad that this patio and the great pizza restaurant are occupying this space because I think it really embraces the character of Ferndale.
And one of the things I'll note here, even though we are recording this literally in the middle of downtown Detroit, is that I really think that strip of Ferndale, kind of 9 and Woodward centered, that's actually a really fun strip. You can do a lot of things there. And in a lot of ways, that reminds me of a real entertainment district that's cohesive, that you could spend a night or a few different nights and still not explore everything that's in Ferndale.
For sure. Downtown Ferndale has a lot to offer. You've got all of the Wabco companies right there. You've got Treat Dreams has just reopened there. You have new restaurants going in. You've got Culantro is just a year old. Brooks Brewing is opening soon. The redesigned Treat Dreams Dessert Emporium opened just a few weeks ago. Antihero, the Japanese drinking izakaya, drinking restaurant and bar, has just opened a few months ago. There are a lot of cool places opening, along with a lot of established great places. You've got the Wab, you've got the Emery, you've got the Oakland, you've got Soho. A lot of cool places there, a lot of cool places coming in, and I think Ferndale is glad to have Como's join the crowd.
Well, Randy, thank you so much for stopping by and having a little chat with us. Looking forward to having more chats with you on the podcast.
Absolutely. Always glad to share my snobbery.
And with that, I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.